Welcome to the Real Gen X podcast. I am Jen, your host and fellow Gen Xer. So today we're talking about New Year's traditions, the chaos, the resolution, and everything in between. Whether you love it, hate it, or sleep through it, this episode is definitely for you. So, New Year's Eve. Fun, ridiculous, emotional, or just plain overrated. Some of us have some wild memories, and some of us like to keep it low-key, and then some of us can barely stay awake past midnight. Or no, midnight, past 11. I can't stay awake past 11. So today we are diving into all of it, and I have my good friend Janie Steele joining me. Janie lives life at full volume and makes New Year's Eve feel like a front row seat to pure Gen X chaos. Hey, lovely. Thanks for being here.
Hey, girl. How are you?
I'm good. You're getting ready to take a special trip, I think, right?
I am. I'm headed off to Nashville in a couple days.
Because it's going to be your birthday.
Oh, yay, my birthday.
Happy birthday.
5-1, baby, 5-1.
51.
I just can't even believe it. God.
So you are 2 years younger than me.
Oh, you're 53?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my
and
God.
A half.
Oh, I
Yeah.
would have never guessed that, ever.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I know you're Gen X, and I know we're similar in age just because we get along so fucking well, but
Right.
I would not have guessed 53 and a half.
Well.
Now you can tell me
that.
I still look like 30.
You 29 and Holden, man. Yeah, absolutely. You know it.
Over and over and over.
Anyway, moving along. So as for me, I happen to think New Year's Eve is a mix of forced optimism, random chaos, and people pretending that flipping a fucking calendar somehow makes you a new person. So, spoiler alert, not really a fan. But that's okay. Let's rewind a little bit. Janie, take us back to your childhood. What did New Year's Eve look like for you as a kid?
Oh, geez. Well, the adults were crazy. They were crazy. They really got into where I lived, and I lived in a few different spots. But one home I lived in the majority of the time, they really got into two holidays, 4th of July and New Year's Eve.
Okay, right.
And it was
for
crazy.
context, I think that because the way you phrased that, I think it maybe is necessary to let people know that you did grow up in foster care.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And it was typical 80s. Gosh, the kids got kicked in the other room and drinking and noise, and there was always a fight. I mean, it was just total. The kids were ignored. We did whatever we wanted. We usually played truth or dare, tortured somebody to death. I mean, it was full on feral. That's how they raised kids in the 80s.
But wait,
That's
so
how they did it.
were the parents fighting? Like, were the adults? Was there a fight?
There was
with the
usually a
adults
fight.
or a fight with the kids?
Usually a fight between the adults.
Between adults.
Husband, a couple of some sort, or the two sisters or the brother-in-law over, drank too much, falling,
Yeah.
broke something, you hear a lamp smash,
Oh,
or a head go
Lord.
through a wall.
Quality foster parenting right there.
It was good.
And you said the kids. So how many kids were typically
Oh, gosh.
in the homes
anywhere
where you were
from
placed?
5 to 12. A lot of kids. But then it's also a
Wait,
family event, so then
what?
there was more because family would come over, for the holiday. And the two primary holidays were always New Year's Eve and 4th of July that just went haywire. It was good times, Jen.
Word. Like free range on steroids?
Completely. Like the Super Bowl of free range parenting. And I know it was everywhere. It wasn't just our house. It was neighbors. One thing I remember that we don't do now, or we don't do it in Ohio at least, in other places I've lived, is run outside with pots and pans at midnight, making as much noise for an hour. It's not till 12:03, until literally 1:15 a.m. And I've never seen it done anywhere else.
Okay, so That is a weird concept for me, but so I wasn't going to bring this up, but it fits. So we were supposed to have another guest named Mark, and unfortunately, due to circumstances, he couldn't be with us today. So I was crazy and was like, us two crazy ladies can handle it on our own. So that's okay. But he had made mention in the pre-interview stuff. He had made mention of going out and banging pots and pans. And I'm like,
You're
why?
kidding. Oh my gosh.
But why?
The noise. It was cheap,
Just
cheap noisemakers.
Just cheap noisemakers.
Yeah, just
Okay.
bang them. Like bang them, make noise like that. That was it.
A solid side note, you said like for an hour solid, like it's cold in Ohio in the winter.
Well, this was in California. I grew up in California. Yeah.
Fair
I've never
enough.
heard anybody else. I wish Mark had been here. I've never heard anybody else talk about the pots and pans because my family, like I've described it to them and my kids as they've grown up and they're like, what are you talking? I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I know I grew up white trash, but I thought it was more popular than that. They're like, what are you talking about? Now you go out and you buy the blowers and you spend money to make a lot of noise. When you got a lot of shit in your house, you can make a lot of noise with.
That's fair enough.
But
Fair
that's
enough.
funny. I don't know where Mark grew up, but it was definitely our little neck of the woods for sure.
Mark is Canadian, so
Oh, okay.
but with a German background. So I don't know, maybe it comes from a German tradition. Like I'm not sure at all, but yeah, it's not something that I grew up with, that's for sure. But so that environment though honestly sounded like peak Gen X survival training, really, right? Like that's all
absolutely.
it was. He's just well trained.
Absolutely. It was.
We seriously had so little supervision back then, it was almost criminal. Like free range doesn't even begin to cover it, right?
People think we're kidding. They
we're
think
not
we're
kidding.
kidding. We're not. And I know other generations had it harder, like Great Depression and massive wars. But then you evolve and you advance, and the parenting, like the world got better to some extent, to a good extent. And the parenting was still nowhere to be found. But then I think about it and I'm like, I don't know. There's something to be said for it, Jen. Because the coddling and the helicoptering that we do now, and I really don't think, I did that in important moments with my kids. But I was the, oddball of like, yeah, you can go ride your bike. Yeah, you can go ride your bike for 6 hours, like.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Absolutely. But like, I don't think that as a generation, overall, I don't think that we've done our kids any favors because honestly, and I mean, this is a whole other podcast episode, so we won't go too far off topic, but honestly, I think they're just too soft. They're too soft. Like you can't even look at them sideways without them being upset and hurting their feelings. Whereas that was how my parents controlled me. Like, lucky for me, my parents did not hit me. But man, you get that look, you knew fucking right, you smarten up right now. Right?
Right, absolutely. It's tough. It's really, it's a thin line because you want to do better, you want to provide better, you want to give them better, all of that stuff that kicks in when you become a parent.
Yeah.
But then later you're like, damn, you don't know what it's like to die of thirst. Like,
right? And we joke about the hose
and
water
those are
thing.
the easy parts.
But we were legitimately thirsty, and that was where we were getting our drinks.
And hungry. We were hungry, and because you ate your meals, that's what, like, now
My
it's
mom
like,
used to throw a cheese sandwich on the back porch. I will say that.
yeah,
But she did.
that's about it. That's
I'd come
about the
back
extent
round,
of it.
there's my sandwich, and I'd carry on.
Right. Well, and now moms are like, they make 6 things, which I participated in a little bit. Like, I had kids that didn't like chili with certain things, so I made 2 pots of chili. But it wasn't like, wait a minute, you're not having chili. I'm going to make you a whole different, spaghetti meal. No, it was chili, and I'll just take the onions out of one.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm bad even now, but I think we are straying too far from the topic. So, although, no, we're going to stick to the topic. So, my New Year's. I do have to say, like, my wildest New Year's Eve was still very tame in comparison to even what you just described. Like, sometimes my parents went out And sometimes we had these special drinks. Now, I say that, and everybody's mind's going to go to, oh, yeah, special. No, actually, they were special drinks because we didn't really have alcohol in the house growing up. And it wasn't because, well, my mother didn't drink it. She didn't like it. And my dad occasionally did. He just didn't do it in the house. So my version of champagne as a child, so that I had something fancy to celebrate with, was orange juice with 7-Up and a maraschino cherry, which honestly I still love today. So fancy, right? So, we might be home. There was like one year. I honestly don't remember any New Year's Eves or any New Year's Days prior to being about 9, which is weird because my Christmas memories start at about 3. So I don't know what I'm blocking out of New Year's, but
You
I
just
don't
know.
remember.
You just don't know.
I just don't know. I just don't know. But I do remember a couple of years being home. My parents were home. They got the little party hat and the blower, and we had the orange juice and whatever. And I would stay up till midnight. The thing is, I say that, but every single New Year's Eve, so my grandparents lived, I'm in Canada, so they lived in another province. So like they lived in another state, right? So every single New Year's Eve, like clockwork, they would call it 11 o'clock because it was 12 o'clock where they lived. So it was New Year's. So they would call Happy New Year. So we would have a conversation, and then I would go to bed when we were done talking. So yeah, good times. Super exciting, right?
Fun.
But you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, there is one New Year's that sticks out for me, and it really was fun, and it really was a little chaotic, but still not like what you're describing. So I was 13 or 14, living in the Toronto area, and I had a Greek friend named Helen. So her parents were like directly from Greek, right? They owned a Greek bakery in the city. God, I loved going over there because, man, the food was good. And so they had a big house, and the basement was basically its own apartment, like had a kitchen, full everything. I actually think her oldest brother lived in the basement. So anyway, on New Year's Eve, her family would throw this massive party. So all of the adults would be upstairs doing their adult things, and you know how it goes. So the 14 and 18 it was a large, like 14 to 18, 14 to 19. There was a pretty good spread in ages for the kids. But they were banished to the basement, right? So here's the thing. Later on in the evening, after the adults' special drinks started to kick in for them, they started moving all the furniture in the living room upstairs. And they formed the big circle, and they started the Greek dancing. So they come downstairs to get us, and there was no, like saying no was not an option. Not an option. So here we are all hiking up the stairs. We're in this big circle. The Greek music's just going. They're all wasted, having a great time. Come on. So you get in there and you got people's arms around you. Your arms are linked. You're spinning in circles. Everybody's laughing. I'm desperately trying to keep up. So you would not know this about me, but I am notoriously awkward and clumsy. I swear to God, I must have looked like a confused octopus or something by the end of it. Like just flailing around. But so like no real true like chaos, no smoking, no fighting, just really great food and happy people and Greek music and dancing. Like basically, Janie, while you were out there running with the Chaos Squad, I was doing my best impression of a responsible adult at age 13. Like
that's a lot to keep up with because I'm familiar with Greece and I'm familiar with their cultures, and that's a lot to keep up with for a 13-year-old.
Right? And somebody who's not used to it, hadn't seen it before. They're all drunk.
Right.
I tried though. Like I'm just lucky I didn't break an ankle or something. And I don't know. Like I feel like somewhere between your full-on free-range chaos and my parental-approved orange juice cocktails is probably the sweet spot. Like classic middle child, middle generation trying to survive vibe. But yeah, that was the wildest, most chaotic New Year's Eve that I have ever experienced. Now, I am not saying, Janie, I am not saying that I didn't grow up and have my party phase because, I most definitely did. But for New Year's Eve, never. It's pretty much always a far cry from what you're describing in your full volume chaos, like craziness. Like I just never, even in my wildest party days, New Year's Eve just wasn't really a thing for me. So, okay, it's your turn again. So I want you to tell me about the wildest, most unforgettable New Year's Eve that you have ever had. Because we know what mine was, and that was pretty tame.
The wildest, well, I mean, it goes back to childhood because one year I think I was 11 and They passed around champagne to the kids. It was a tiny little, like 3 drops. And
Yeah.
and then somehow I got 3 more drops. And then somehow adults were handing me bigger glasses, and I got full on completely drunk. I think I was 11. I'm pretty sure I was 11. I might have been 12, but ended up on the floor shaking like I almost died. And they thought it was the funniest thing ever. And other kids were drinking, and they just it was chaos. It was chaos. And I literally can still remember adults standing over me, bumbling and mumbling like, "Oh, should we call an ambulance?" And I remember I didn't drink again for probably, oh my gosh, it was years. I mean, I drank very minor years later, as when I was probably 18, but probably not then until I was 30. Like, I became a drinker way later in life.
I was going to say, I would hope you didn't drink again for a while, given that you were 11 at the time, but fair enough. Jesus, that's a whole, that's double downing on the whole, that's double downing. That's doubling down on the whole, shitty Gen X parenting.
I always laughed about it after, though. Not immediately. Immediately, I think I was physically in pain for months. Physically, I could still feel the shakes and the trembles. I'm pretty sure I had alcohol poisoning. Nobody ever confirmed that for me. But then, not long after, it became, I'll be seeing my sister in a couple days, and we'll laugh about it. She'll remember it. We'll talk about it. Because it wasn't, our little neck of the woods, that's just how people lived. Well, it was like Gen X on crack or something.
I feel like I'm surprised that any of your foster parents were allowed to be foster parents, but you Gen X on crack. That sounds about right. Thing is, Janie, I have not a similar experience. I have an experience when I was 9. One of my aunts got married, and my great uncle decided it would be funny to spike the punch that was meant to be the non-alcoholic punch. So I drank it all night, and I do remember waking up the next morning and standing at my grandmother's house in the hallway waiting for the bathroom, and just kind of oh my God, my head hurts so much.
Oh my God,
and then everybody was laughing because they knew what happened. So we still talk about it and laugh about it too, but I was nowhere near alcohol poisoning level either. That's a whole
but he had to know that the kids were going to drink that punch.
Fuckery.
He had to know the kids were going to drink that punch. So he was walking a thin line there, Jen.
I was the only kid at the time.
Okay.
I was the only kid because there's 11 of us cousins on that side of the family, but I am the oldest by 8 years, and the youngest cousin, I think I'm 20 years older than. So I was the only kid at the time. But yeah, I mean, again, right? Oh, haha, let's see if we can get the 9-year-old drunk. So who knows?
Jeez.
I don't know, but my God. Okay, I feel like you did have a New Year's, though, that was
as an adult, and
exciting and pretty daredevilish, if you ask me.
Years late, well, not that many years later. I was 18, so 11 to 18, not that many. But I was an adult. I was already married, and I was living overseas in Greece for a couple years. And there's some big cliffs in Greece. I lived on the island of Crete, so the entire island is nothing but a giant cliff. And I could swim, but I wasn't a great swimmer, and basically got double dog dared, and I fell for it, and we all went cliff diving. Close to midnight. It was 10, 11. It was pitch black. The Mediterranean Sea
dark.
Was pitch black. And it was, I could be exaggerating. I don't know. I think it was high. It was high. It wasn't a 20-foot cliff. It was 50, 100 feet. It was way up there. It was a drop. And my husband at the time was Air Force, and a bunch of Air Force firemen were in the water for the girls that were, terrified. And I was terrified, but damn it, I double dog dared. I did it. I jumped. And I don't know how far down you go, but you go down far, because I remember coming up to the top and barely being able to breathe, and arms grabbing me and pulling me up. And so that was exciting. I would not do it again. I might do it again now that I'm over 50. I wouldn't have done it again for years. It was quite terrifying.
Did you know when you jumped that when you hit the water, you should do the spread your legs thing, because that
They
prevents you
told me
from going
something.
down too
Like they
far?
gave you pointers and do like something
But
when
you
you do.
don't.
No, you're screaming. Well, you can't
Yeah.
scream because the air's on you. So like you're falling. I don't do
You're
roller
like,
coasters. I don't do roller
silent
coasters.
scream.
I don't do like crazy tall like buildings. Like this was a one and done for me, and it was because of that stupid double dog dare that they threw at me. I don't fall for that shit anymore.
Listen, Janie, yeah, you say that. I have not known you very long, Janie Steele, but somehow I feel like if I double dog dared you to do something today, you would totally do it in true Gen X style. Like full volume, full Janie chaos, and yet you would still come out the other side.
I might have to. If I think that the person daring me might do it, like not that they have to, but if I think they might, I'm probably not going to want to be one-upped. Now,
Well,
if it's somebody daring me and I'm like, please, you could barely walk across the street. Like, I'm not worried about, but I do like to win. I like to win when there's, some competition there.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So, dare I ask what happened after that? Like, how did you spend the rest of the night? Like,
I
don't tell me.
remember, like, Greece, I did drink barely. I don't remember drinking that night.
No ouzo?
We used to drive around, not me, I was in the back seat, but people had Jeeps. And when we were there, cars were just on the island barely a few years. And people would climb in their Jeeps. You're going to kill me. They would drive around. They'd turn their lights off at night. So you couldn't see anything. And they'd drive the cliffs with their lights off. And you would sit in the back of the Jeep screaming in your head. I know. I should have died a million
God,
times.
we did.
You couldn't see shit. I'm talking shit. I think some of the drivers, I can't remember the guy. I was always with one guy, and he was really good at it. And I think he could see, or he just memorized the curves. And yeah.
Oh, yeah, but like,
I know.
I don't like random porcupine in road, or I don't. Do they have porcupines in Greece? You know what I mean. Like,
they have a lot of cats. They have a lot of cats.
Oh well, I would not want to hit a random cat. That's
I
for
think
sure,
me
but,
and my
like, you
husband at
can't-
the time, like I was 16, 17, 18 when we got there. He was 2 years older. All these people were 26 to 30. I think we were trying to fit in with, I don't know, but we did it. We said, hey, let's die tonight.
That's a whole.
We
Let's
did not.
die tonight. You know what though? I think we said that a lot back in the day. It's like the whole, like, if you've never spent the night passed out in a field, wondering how you ever possibly survived. Are you even Gen X? Like, and our parents just didn't give a shit where we were. And I just don't know. There's many times we should have died, but that, Janie Steele, that's extreme level chaos.
It seems like, it feels like another world at times when I think back to it, like, because I was shortly after that a mom and never really did anything. I mean, I was then a great mom, like, honestly. So I missed all my 20s. So yeah, it was when I was 11 and 17, 18, went a little haywire.
11 and 17, like,
Right.
that's just okay. And the whole conversation about why you got married so young, that's another episode.
That's another
for
episode.
Sure. But like, but still, so you're married, but you're off in Greece, like, diving off of cliffs and hanging out with the Air Force. Like, meanwhile, I'm over here with my orange juice cocktails, feeling like I barely survived middle school. Like, what the fuck? But okay, so
Little different.
again, not like I didn't do some shit in my day. I definitely did, but I waited till I was like 18, 19, and then I got my shit together and stopped again. But like, seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's bring it back down from the chaos of 18-year-old daredevils and Greek cliffs by the sea. Let's talk about what New Year's Eve looks like for you nowadays. So, Janie, my lovely friend, what do your adult New Year's traditions look like now? And do not tell me you're getting 11-year-olds drunk, because that's just...
No, not at all. They were mild raising my kids. They were fun. They were mild. We would do a taco night and lots of board games, and I really never stayed up. Maybe twice I made it to midnight. The kids did. Like, the kids always made it. My son always made it to midnight. But now the last good amount of years, probably since I turned 40, like, I'm you say you hate New Year's, but I think we hate it for different reasons, because I get crazy emotional. Just, I don't know why. My daughters now host usually something. We get together, karaoke, a lot of karaoke, and my toxic trait is I think I can sing, and I know I can't, but damn it, I'm going to sing. Everywhere I go, I'm belting it out. I drive people nuts. And sometimes I don't remember the words, and I make them up. I don't care. So a lot of karaoke, a lot of drinking, but like I'm not a crazy heavy drinker. Like I don't plan, like it happens sometimes, but it's not my go-to thing.
Yep.
I get sad. And everybody around, like my daughters, they both have the bug too, and I don't know why. They get sad. And their girlfriends that are there get sad. And we stand around at midnight and we burn little pieces of paper that we wrote things on. So it's not a resolution in terms of we want to do this. It's things we want to get rid of. So you write down like your top 3 or 4, I think, what you don't want to take into the new year with you. Bad habits, jealousy, procrastination, and then we burn them in the fire pit, and then we all bawl. We just cry.
Are they bawling because they're truly emotional about the passage of time like you, or are they bawling because they just cry when they're drunk?
I don't know, because they are emotional like me. So it's certainly not the same. We're not on the same wavelength, because mine is like, holy shit, another year just flew by. Like another year just flew by. Theirs is one daughter in particular. She gets sad around 11 o'clock. And then when that song plays, she loses it and is calling people and hugging and crying. And I think just a passage of time for her. But I think the alcohol helps. Alcohol helps, yeah.
I think so, probably, yeah. So is that sort of what your New Year's still look like? Are your kids like
they did up until this last year, but now my daughters are like one has a baby and the other one's pregnant, so I think I'll be left to my own device. A little different. Yes.
Left to your own devices. I feel like leaving you to your own devices is a recipe for trouble. Like,
could be.
That being said, probably a good thing you're there and I'm here, because honestly, with all of my boring New Year's Eves, I could probably use a good Thelma and Louise style New Year's Eve. Like minus the whole...
yeah.
No. Minus
Brad
the whole
Pitt
driving off the cliff
baby.
thing. No, we can include Brad Pitt, but we are not driving off the cliff.
No cliff, but Brad Pitt. Or a cowboy. I could do with a cowboy on New Year's Eve.
Any cowboy. You're going to see some cowboys in Nashville soon. Well...
God, I hope so.
I think that my Thelma and Louise adventure is off the table for this year, but we can talk about it for 2026.
Oh, God.
I will probably be on the couch eating popcorn and drinking Prosecco with my dog, like living my full-blown adult chaos one sip at a time.
And I think this year, honestly, I'll be like holding my grandson at my daughter's house. So I might hold off a few years before I'm, completely chaotic again.
You can call me at midnight, and when you're ready to be chaotic, I probably will be too, so we can have our Thelma and Louise adventure in like 5 years or something. But so speaking of chaos, though, I recently stumbled across something called a New Year's Levy. Do you know what that is, Janie? Have you ever heard of a New Year's Levy?
No, I have not. But I haven't had the TV on in like 6 months, so what is it?
Oh, no, you wouldn't find it on the TV. Okay. So here's the deal. A New Year's Levy is basically the after party of all after parties. It is a gathering the day after New Year's Eve, so New Year's Day, where people are legit expected to get up, still tired and maybe still a little tipsy, go somewhere where there's people, exchange polite conversation, probably sip some more drinks, and pretend that the night before didn't completely knock them on their old tired ass. Like, seriously, staying up past midnight, celebrating, and then the next day, it's like, rise and shine, party on. In 1992, because, like, I definitely lost the ability to have any fun or drinks and stay up past midnight and get up the next day and go day drink.
They just gather to talk?
Oh, like they drink a lot.
So they gather the next day to drink and talk a lot.
Yeah,
like, no.
I It's like chaos disguised as civility, sort of. And I'm not sure why anybody would willingly sign up to do that. Like, that's true endurance level. That's you. I could see you being able to do that, Janie Steele.
No.
No?
And like, I mean, my real wild holiday is usually the 4th of July. And I'm not getting up the next day. I'm not getting up July 5th to go levying it up with anybody either.
Fair. No, that's fair.
When did this start? Like,
I don't know if it's I think it might be a regional thing, and it may have actually started in Newfoundland, but I may also be making that up and probably should have looked that up before we did this episode. So I don't know if anybody knows. There will be a comment section in the podcast. So if you know how a New Year's Eve levy started, please feel free to place the comments there so that we can learn something.
The years where I haven't made it to 10 o'clock, I'd happily get up and, go out day drinking the next day and laugh about all the people still flat on their ass.
Well,
that would be my levy.
Yeah, I feel like I'd have to plan for it, right? So I'd be
Right.
like, okay, I'm going to be going to the levy. Therefore, New Year's Eve, I'm going to bed at 10 and not, yeah, because no.
I don't know enough people that I'd want to hang out with them on New Year's Eve and then meet up with them again New Year's. So that would be my
That's fair.
problem. Like,
Me neither. Like,
Yeah.
no, me neither. No. So, okay. That's okay. So we have covered the childhood chaos. We've covered some wild adventures, and we've covered the post-midnight levy madness. Let's go into the part of New Year's Eve that really sneaks up on people every year. So the resolutions. You are up first. Do you make them? And if so, what's the most ridiculous New Year's resolution you have ever attempted to keep?
I've never really, I've done the burn the bad habits. I've never really made a resolution that I can think of where it was like, in the new year, I'm going to do this. I might have occasionally done like, oh, I'm going to get fit this year or something. But no, not on New Year's. Now, when I turned 50, a couple months after New Year's, boy, I took advantage of like 2025. This is the year. This is what I'm doing. And basically ended my entire life.
That's fair, and we will get to that.
Yeah.
I have a question. You said you've done the burning your bad habits thing. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Well, my daughter.
Because I have an image in my head, so I need to hear this.
Yeah. So I'm only 20 years older than my first daughters. They're 30. I'm 50. And I'm friends with all of their friends, since they were little. Somebody came up with, you write down 3 or 4 or 5 things that you don't want to take into the new year with you. Bad habits, bad feelings, bad memories. Like, some of them get real serious with like toxic things they dealt with that they want to release. Honestly, none of them really dealt with anything, but they come up with something to write down. So
they had to eat the chili with the beans in it, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. You throw it in a fire pit and you burn it because you're not going to take it into the new year.
Okay.
Your awful habits, whatever they are.
So I have to tell you this. So I just can't get this image out of my head. Okay. So we're going to picture this. Like, I see this as a full-on Sandra Bullock in The Proposal, the movie The Proposal Energy. Remember when she was dancing around the fire and she's from the window to the wall. Yeah. Say it with me. Till the sweat drips down my balls. That's all I can think about when you tell me that you're burning shit in a fire on New Year's Eve.
Well, it's cold in Ohio, so we have the bonfire going anyway, to be fair. And we hope to be outside. You're freezing usually. So there's a bonfire, and then you just make do with it. And yes, some people like to dance. Some people like to share what they're burning, and they've been drinking and they get emotional, so they start sharing, like, why do they want to get rid of? What are they jealous of? And what are these bad? And some people are like, I'm not fucking telling you, and they just burn it.
Yeah. It's a secret.
Because we don't, but they do. They kind of bully everybody into participating.
Yeah, well, that's
some people probably don't write down shit, and they're like,
that's very God. Gen X, though. That is a very Gen X trait right there, bullying people into participating.
Right.
Honestly, though, I get it. Like, there is something about New Year's Eve that sneaks up emotionally. I mean, I will say, especially as we get older, right? Suddenly, it isn't just fun anymore. It's memories, it's milestones, and yes, maybe a little existential crying at midnight. For me, and this is weird, and I recognize this, for me, New Year's Eve has never really marked the passage of time. And I know that sounds ridiculous because it's literally a new year.
It really does, Jen.
But as I get older, I can see that shifting too. Like especially now, right? With our kids having kids. I mean, mine aren't there yet, but they're old enough, and our parents, they're aging faster than the speed of light. Like I guess you don't really have to deal with that though. But you know, watching all of that just kind of shines a huge spotlight on us, right? And realize that we're kind of there on the fast track too, right? Suddenly our knees don't work like they used to. We don't remember why we're standing in the room. We have no idea why we came here. Why are we here? What am I looking for? You know, like
we're working overtime to keep our turkey neck at bay.
Working overtime to keep your turkey neck at bay, buying weird machines that you use wrong and make it worse. Oh shit.
Guilty.
At least we can laugh about it, right? Do you want my take on New Year's resolutions?
Well, they're going to be negative, but yeah, bring them on.
They're going to be negative. Yep. Strap in, woman, because here's the brutal, honest Gen X take on resolutions. People love to make them. People love to talk about them. And people love to completely forget about them by February. Like, seriously, statistically speaking, roughly 80% of resolutions fail by February. So here's the thing. And I'm a big believer in this. And I recognize that people that are finding my podcast won't necessarily be the people that have followed me and my journey on TikTok, or even if they have, like you are, you may not have seen the particular video that I'm speaking of, but I have spoken about this more than once in my little TikTok journey as I'm ramping up for this podcast. So real change doesn't happen just because the fucking calendar flips or that second hand or minute hand passes the 12. Like, you can make all the lists, you can set all the alarms, you can post all the fucking hashtags you want, but until you are actually ready to change something, none of that is going to stick. And being ready, this is what I've spoken about the most. Being ready is a decision. It isn't a mood. It's not a midnight promise, and it isn't something that the fucking ball dropping can magically grant you, right? Ready is a very intentional thing. Ready is choosing to do it fully, even if it's messy. That is what I am doing right now publicly, and you're kind of on the same path, I feel like. So ready is choosing to do it fully, right? Fully. So until that moment hits, all those resolutions are just like aspirational noise. And that's why people fail, because most of them aren't ready, and that's okay. But real growth does not happen on a schedule, right? It happens when you decide that it's finally your turn. So I happen to know that we have both made some pretty big changes in our lives outside of this whole new year, new you thing. Why don't we share a little bit about that now? Like, how did you decide you were ready, and what is the change that you have made?
I agree with you on everything with New Year's. Nothing's going to happen when you make a resolution. I mean, and especially if it's a big resolution, if it's life changes that you're outlining on New Year's Eve, they're not going to happen. They come from either just pain you won't put up with anymore. The list is long, obviously, but yeah. Mine came from, I'm a December baby, so I turned 50 in December, and I don't have a problem with aging. I really don't. I sometimes literally forget that I'm a day over 35. Honestly, I started young. When I was 12, I felt like I was 30, and when I'm 50, I feel like I'm 30. But you can't ignore the calendar, and it just hit me. It just was like, it's not even midlife, honestly. Midlife is 40 when you do the math. You know what I mean?
I know.
And then I had a grandbaby coming in 4 months later. And so I was going to be a grandma, and I just had put life on my personal things. It's so hard because I loved my life. I loved parts of it. I loved being a mom young. I loved my kids. I loved raising them. I would redo it 1,000,000 times in every lifetime. But I needed my last however many years left to be what I had paused, what I had put aside, what I was hoping for, what I didn't want to go into the next 20 years and just, it sounds silly, but that silly meme or those silly words of, damn, I could have done it. Like, I could have done it. I could have tried. I didn't try. And it just, for me, I swear to God, the universe like smacked the shit out of me. It was that severe. It was one day, and the next day, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this life. And that was, yes, I ended my marriage, basically started the process to end my marriage. And 27 years, so a very long time marriage. My second one, wrote my books, or published my first book within a few months of that decision. I've written many over my life, but I've always been a writer, and published it probably too quickly, probably way too quickly. But I needed that almost to hold my feet to the fire. Like, get it published and then backtrack and do everything that's needed. There will be more books, there will be movies, there will be a media corporation so big. like it's so much more about movies, or it's so much more than just a book or books.
Yep.
But it wasn't New Year's that was going to do it. Like, you can maybe say, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds by, June for the, swimwear weather, and maybe accomplish that. But it runs deep. It has to run deep, or you're not going to get any traction under it.
Well, that's absolutely, you're right about that. And I am going to talk about my own take on that in a minute. But what I want to do is pause for a second, because you mentioned your novel. So you have a book out called Closing Cost. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and where they can find your book?
Yes, it is called Closing Costs. It is you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Closing Costs by Janie Steele, because there's several that are actually like how-to real estate books, but this phrasing was more of ending a chapter, starting a new chapter. It's essentially, it's a romance book, contemporary romance. It is a steamy novel. It's midlife reinvention. It's centered around a realtor, and in real life I am a realtor, but it is fiction. It is fiction. It's about the secrets, the stories. Realtors hear a lot. We know a lot. And if you're like me, I've always, my whole life, people have they just confide in me. Like,
right?
And like clients and strangers and the gas station attendant, like I will hear his whole life story sometimes, and the first time I've ever met him. But there is a lot in real estate behind closed doors. That's sort of the premise of the book. What really goes on in marriages, typically the 25, 35-year-old marriages. And there is a trend right now of a lot of, my age women, like turning the key and walking out and starting over. But it's about three girlfriends pretty much going through that. One man, eventually a couple more men, but it's centered around three women, one man. There's a mystery in there that's really good. Regrets, guilt, pushing through, how to do it. It's, I like it. I happen to love it.
Well, it sounds great. It sounds like a book that many women, especially midlife women, could probably relate to. It would probably resonate with, right? So go out there and support my good friend Janie Steele and pick up a copy of that book, because she's got another one coming in the new year, and you're going to want that one too. Your story is inspiring, even like as little of the story of you that we have heard, but it is inspiring to, hear about somebody making that midlife shift. And I know it's not easy. And I completely get where you're coming from with not letting the next 20 years go and being like, why did I never do that thing? Because for me, I too decided to make a big change. But let's be real, for me, I got a not so little nudge from the universe when I was restructured out of my job. So for anybody who has not been following me on my journey on TikTok or following the podcast launch, here's a scoop. I was restructured out of my job on June 4th of this year, so 6 months ago. I'm not going to say there was no panic, because let's be real. Like, of course there was panic, but it was exactly the nudge that I needed to get it out of my own way and finally pursue my dreams of acting and voiceover and this podcast. This podcast has been in the works for 3 years. I literally kept getting in my own way. Like, I mean, finding an excuse to not actually start it, even though it was something I really, really wanted. I mean, built a studio and still found reasons to not start. That being said, I am a huge believer that everything happens for a reason and everything happens in the time that it is supposed to happen. So I feel like I needed to be this version of me before I could make the decision to make that change. So you'd think that 3 years ago or a year ago that amount of time doesn't matter that much, but it does. It really, so much can happen, and you can change so much as a person in that time frame. So I had to be this version of me for this to succeed. And so I made the choice. Then that choice, I'm not going to lie, it comes with a lot of like, oh shit, what the fuck have I done? Like, right? You're going out on a limb or trying to build something for yourself. There's no money coming in, right? So some days you're like, oh, the fuck, what am I going to do? But there's also days where I am like so excited and I see exactly where this is all headed. And then again, you got the days come back where you're like juggling flaming swords, riding a unicycle. Like it's like a roller coaster ride of emotion, reinventing yourself like this in midlife and taking that leap to do something that you want and that you love, and that honestly, ultimately, financially speaking, could be life-changing, right? Can you relate to that? Like, have you had your own, like, what the fuck did I just do moments through all of this? You must have.
Oh, girl, I'm morning, noon, and night. It sounds silly, but, more than meditating or more than manifesting, just to keep my spirits up, because you have to, because it is highs and lows. First of all, I mean, the path that we're taking, you're really putting yourself out there. Like, right. These are not quiet little, I want to, be an accountant in the back room and crunch the best numbers that anybody's ever seen. I've done that. That's been my life. I've done the accounting thing, and I've done the real estate. There's no job I haven't had. But you're putting yourself out there, so that's nerve-wracking. And you made a really good point about saying this version of myself, because I think that's key. I'm a big believer that you go through long phases and periods in life. Who you are 1 year when you're raising, 3 kids is different than who you are 5 years later and you got 4 kids. And half of them then grow up and go to college and you still have 2 young ones at home. You're a different person through all those phases. You change. That's the whole point of life. Yeah. And, I know why I waited, and I other people wait for their reasons, but you got to become a version of when, at least for me, I had to become a version deep inside that I had been talking to and I had been battling with, and I had been, women in particular, we have a hard time doing something for ourselves. Yeah. And I have a huge guilt complex based on where I come from, where I'm so lucky. Not to say I didn't work hard and I didn't, do a lot of right things for my path, but I feel so guilty when I do something that is for me, and I feel like something bad's going to happen to me. Like, it's a problem. But I had to become a version that I knew it would stick. Like you said, like that version had to rear its head, and you run with it, and then 2 days later you're scared shitless. A week later it's crazy. It's hard. It's hard. And you see me on TikTok. I'm still not, I'm not my full self on TikTok. It's hard to post every time I post a video. It's hard. It's getting easier. You have good days, bad days. You don't want to be a whiner, but sometimes I just want to get on there and whine the fuck out of everybody until they can turn me off, because I'm like, but you don't want to be, because you want to it's a mess.
Trust me.
You're absolutely right when you say there are highs that are almost irreplaceable. Yep. So the highs sometimes are almost irreplaceable, of like the possibilities of what can be.
Absolutely. And I mean, look at us. We are 2 women going through something very different but very similar at the same time. And we have connected through social media. We would never have connected if we weren't doing this. And I think we're forging a nice little friendship, and we can help each other get through it. So you have definitely been through it, and you have seen some shit. Like, you definitely have earned your Gen X badge there, Janie Steele. What would you say to people who want to survive New Year's without completely losing their mind?
Well, some people are not like hate that they're, they can't lose their minds on New Year's because they're in the thick of, raising a family. Because you got those people too who like, oh, I just want to get back to when I was 25 and run through the bars, and then you got people who just love, not doing anything. You got to just go with the flow. If you're going to be emotional, I'm all about emotion. Get it out of you that night. If you want to get it out of you, get it out. It can help. Crying always helps. Launch into the new year at least having that weight off for a night. Yeah. It might come back shortly, because it is. There's a reason when you're 10, it feels like Christmas takes 10 years to come around again. And then you age, and it seems like Christmas is every 3 fucking months, doesn't it?
Right?
Because you have less time left. You have less time in life. Everything is spinning yeah. So try and enjoy it. Fast. It is a marker to at least being grateful you're entering. Hopefully you wake up New Year's Day. I'm a very, very grateful person, to my own detriment at times. And if nothing else, you have a good night and you wake up the next morning, because there will be people who don't. They will not see January 1st, 2026.
That is very true, and that just took a turn I was not prepared for.
Girl, you have no idea.
Morbid turn. But you are so right, and yes, to your point, gratitude is I feel it is a really important part of life. And sometimes you end up in situations. I could have gone out and found another regular job. I am struggling financially right now because I am choosing to pursue a dream, and that's worth it to me. And honestly, I don't even know where I was going with that thought. So on that
you'll still be pursuing it in 2026 because you're not going to give up.
Oh, so, God, no.
That's what you're celebrating New Year's Eve this year, is that I am fucking taking this into 2026. I'm continuing, and the fucking world is my oyster. That's what you're celebrating.
I absolutely agree with that. I agree with that 110%. So I think that is a wrap on this year's dive into New Year's chaos, resolutions, and all the messy, emotional, and funny stuff in between. So huge thank you to my good friend Janie for sharing your wild stories and your hard-earned wisdom, and showing us that surviving New Year's is totally possible if you embrace the chaos and have a little courage. And be grateful when you wake up in the morning. Now, for me, I am moving into the new year ready to set it on fire. Abso-fucking-lutely, but only because I have decided and chosen to do so. It is intentional. There's no magic midnight switch, no hashtag list, just conscious choices that I've already started making and steps that I am already taking. So maybe a little popcorn and maybe some Prosecco on the couch. And as far as the Levy goes, fuck that shit. No. So whether your New Year's is full volume chaos like Janie, or quiet reflection like mine typically is, or somewhere in the middle, do it your way. And I think that was your point. Do it your way. Make it real, make it yours. Don't forget to laugh, even if it's at yourself. And wake up on New Year's Day. If you laughed, winced, or related to any of this chaos, please follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend who may need just a little Gen X perspective this new year. Thank you so much for being here. This has been the Real Gen X podcast. We will catch you next time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jen.
You are amazing, Janie.
Have a great day.